Today in the Rockies franchise, we have the third MLB draft of the series. I feel like we've done a pretty good job the first two drafts setting this team up for future success. I feel like we have done the most we could have with our first round picks to this point, but we have to do it again. We've taken David Geronimo and Johnny Shaffer in the first round, but with this scouting process, I did a lot more to try to find pitching talent, whether it be starting or relievers. I spent a lot of time on relievers, and Miguel Da Silva was my favorite. Ultimately, when you pick as high as we do, you just want to make the most out of that selection. So there are a lot of 80 potential players that I scouted. From what I've seen, I felt like the pitchers at the top of the draft were better than the position players. And here is what we have right now in the minor league system. I feel like we're making it stronger every year. We traded Sam Hilliard for Austin Martin. That was a huge deal for us. And the series is still relatively young, so most of these players haven't developed all that much, but we do have one player who's already gone to the big leagues. That's David Geronimo, the first pick of the entire series. We're hoping he ends up having a big rookie year. And then Johnny Shaffer, last year's first round pick. Could he make it to the bigs after just one minor league season? He's up to 75 overall already. So who are we adding to this team? Let's get to the draft. Picking number 5 this year, division rivals, the San Francisco Giants, pick number 1. They were not good a year ago. And the Texas Rangers took one of my draft targets. I really like Greg Allison, but we still had some pitching options. There was Michael Moreno with a 2026 MLB ETA. And the potential break in velocity with an 80 grade, the highest it goes. I compared him to Del Snyder, similar K per 9 numbers, break a little bit lower. I felt like you give the edge there to Moreno, and there weren't any other position players to really challenge in this spot. So, first pick of the year is starting pitcher Michael Moreno, 20 years old. And the earliest we've selected a pitcher in this series. 3 picks later, Miguel Da Silva was drafted, so the best relievers are going to go early, but I still would take a starter in that scenario. So on to the second round, and already the scouting board is getting a lot smaller. I didn't do as good of a job this year making sure I check it like every day to maximize the accuracy. Got to do better about that. And by this point, the relievers I liked were basically gone. So it definitely messed with my draft plans a little bit. But I liked Paul Boyer, 75 potential, plays first, third, left field, pretty good lefty masher. There's Chad Harris at short, although having a ceiling as an average hitter made him a little less intriguing. So I went with Paul Boyer in that case. And then with competitive balance, round B. Again, not many options here that I've actually scouted. I ended up going with Sandy Phipps here. 70 potential, 19 years old, plays short, second, and third base. And then in round 3, we go Martin Haller, 19 years old from New York. Potential to be a really good contact hitter, and I want to get some more high contact, high on base players in this organization. And because I had a little bit of scouting on Will Zahoric, we draft him later. I didn't have any more information, so I was just guessing the rest of the way. Wanted to try taking a few relievers, hoping it would work out. So we then select Dan Brooks in the 5th round. And in the 6th, we end up going with Steve Esquivel. Correct me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but he is the final selection of this draft. So a very pitcher-heavy draft, and here are the potentials. 98 for Michael Moreno. Another good first-round pick, it would appear. Moreno, 73 stamina right now, 52 K per 9. The velocity and break look really good. He throws a fastball in the mid-90s, slider, and a change. Paul Boyer next at 82 potential. Good power against lefties. Should be an above-average hitter and a decent fielder. So I think compares a lot to Ty France and his role. Sandy Phipps, 53 overall, might take him a little bit longer to get to the big leagues, but he also had low 80s potential, and the rest of the players all had D potential. So I did not do a good enough job scouting for those later rounds, but 1A potential, 2B potentials. It's at least an average draft, I'd have to say. And Michael Moreno, I checked all the teams. That's the highest potential that anybody had in this draft class. Because we've been picking so high in these drafts, I've put most of the attention on the top prospects. I do not want to miss with a first round pick when you pick as early as we have in this series. How about this draft for Minnesota? So many picks, not the best potentials for them. Miguel Da Silva ended up with 94 potential, and Greg Allison did as well. So my favorite pitchers were all really good. We ended up with the one with the highest potential. Gotta be pretty happy there. But as I look at our bullpen in the organization, I still feel like there's a lot of work to do there, and I don't do a lot of like prospect for prospect trades, and I probably should. We need to go get some more relievers in this organization, so I'm not always scrambling for free agents, and I shouldn't waste any time there. We have prospects that we could trade and start to even things out depth-wise in the organization. But for the rest of the episode, I wanted to talk about a lot of the top prospects that we have who could help us out in the future, and we're going to start out with Zach Veen. A player that by now I really did expect to be at the big league level, but he just hasn't been a consistent minor league player. He went down to AA last season, actually spent a little bit of time at single A, so it just hasn't worked out. He's playing okay at AAA, but certainly not good enough to be called up. Right now he's a 67 overall, and he's currently hitting .237 at AAA. And if that continues, he might even go down to AA again. As I look at his ratings, where the end of the episode is, he's getting some progression. We're just staying patient. He's only 21 years old, but he's just not ready to make that impact like the expectation was in the beginning of the series. And it's interesting, if you've seen my Rule 5 rebuild on my second channel, completely different story where Zach Veen has become a superstar. And I know it's possible because of that series. But I don't see Veen making it to the big league level this season. I just haven't seen anything that says he needs that call up yet. So let's move on to a player we acquired just this season, Austin Martin, who was a first-round pick of the Blue Jays not that long ago, and we were able to get him for Sam Hilliard. Now, Martin plays short and center field. We have him playing in the outfield right now for AAA Albuquerque. Here in this game, he was hitting around 230-ish. By the end of the episode, he brought that up to 270, so decent batting average, 352 on base, but just a 378 slugging. He isn't showing a lot of power at the moment, despite 50 power versus righties, 53 versus lefties. We want to be patient with these players, but with Martin, we want to keep in mind that he is already 24 years old, so we're hoping that within a couple of years, we start to really see him ascend to be ready for big league action. And you gotta love the drawn-out practice swing here in the batter's box. I tend to do these practice swings a lot, and his is definitely the longest one, the most obnoxious I've seen to this point. And if you're going to take up people's time like that, maybe you should show off a little power once you do swing the bat. We'll take that. First home run of the season at AAA for Austin Martin. Martin does have A potential. He is a 69 overall, and with pretty much all of his hitting ratings clustered around the 50s, hopefully a couple of those ratings can eventually take off and he can be ready to become a big league starter. All right, let's go back to Tuki Toussaint. We've talked about him a ton in this series, and after we saw the control issues and the walks when we first traded Trevor Story to get him, last year was all about development. Don't rush him to the bigs. Let's see what he does at AAA and AA all season. and Toussaint was excellent. And I'm happy to say that is carrying over to this year, where his K per 9 stands out at 10.8. He's only allowing a 1.31 whip right now with a walk rate of 3.6 per 9 innings. That walk per 9 rating is only at 32, still really low, and he has 68 stamina. At this point, it feels like he's ready to come up to the big leagues. He's pitching well. He's dominating AAA competition. Like, it's honestly easy pitching with him. But I feel like he might be more suited for long relief than starting. And you'll see in this game how much he dominates early on. The slider's going right where you want it to. Fastball's going pretty well. He's not missing a ton early in the game. There's the first hit he allows, a base hit on a fastball right over the middle. And he's able to rebound. There's a jammed line drive over in foul territory. And then to the next batter, there's the ground ball. He keeps the ball in the ballpark for the most part. He's allowed 5 home runs this year in 57 1/3 innings. We take this to the 5th. Nice ground ball over to first base. He gets through 5 using 50 pitches. And when he can work at that fast pace, he's at his best. But we've seen this, I think, in some starts last year. And in this one, you're going to see it as well. Once that pitch count gets around 50, 60, that's when he starts to get into trouble. And I just think that at the big league level, if your sweet spot is going to be 30, 40 pitches, then it's going to be out of the bullpen, or as an opener or something. But I think at this stage, he's ready for big league innings. He's just not going to be going out 5, 6 innings at a time and shutting down opposing offenses. But while he's been developing over these 2 years and I've pitched more with him, I just think he's ready and can contribute to the major league team now. So I am thinking about calling him up, and you can leave your feedback down below in the comments. He does have a potential, so maybe some of these weaknesses can still get a little bit better with the walk per 9 and stamina being lower. But I'm not sure we have to wait with him at the minor leagues anymore. He does end up getting taken out of this game after this double, and he ends up going 6 1/3, 5 hits, 2 runs allowed with just the 1 walk and 5 strikeouts. Solid start once again for Tuki Toussaint. Let's go down to AA now. We got to see Johnny Shaffer start his minor league career, and now we check in a little bit later, and he's getting good development. He has played pretty well, hitting for a solid average, and I think that you're going to see pretty good power from him as well. Here's a deep fly ball to center that's not quite out of reach. Now, his offense isn't where Geronimo's was in his first year, but as a defender, Johnny Shaffer has more potential, and he's playing catcher, of course. 82 reaction, 70 blocking are his best ratings there, with a 65 rated arm, 64 accuracy, 54 fielding overall. And a big part of why I want to make sure he gets as much time as he needs down at the minor league level is so that when he is a big league catcher, he is contributing well both on offense and defense. He does throw out a base stealer in this try, so 1 for 2 on the day. They'll try it again. There's a perfect strike, and Johnny Shaffer throws out 2 base stealers in this game. Right now at the plate, Shaffer is hitting .300. Only a couple of home runs on the season, and he does have better ratings against lefties. 68 contact and 55 power. You can tell with his swing here, he wants to send the ball out. The power is just not there quite yet. On similar contact, we see what happens when Geronimo's at the plate. But I am looking forward to where Shaffer's development goes this year. It's only like a month into the AA season. It isn't much at all. So we'll be patient there and see where things end up. But we'll end up here going back to the major league level to talk about David Geronimo getting to DH here in Seattle. He's hit a couple home runs lately, 5 on the year, just 8 RBIs. I thought with him batting a little bit lower, he'd have more RBI chances. He's 4 for 19 on the season with runners in scoring position. And this one is one of the 4. It's down in right center field. You can tell when the swing wasn't perfect, and you have a lot of room for error with David Geronimo. Like, it was a good swing, but he didn't get all of it, and it's still out of reach. He hits productive fly balls even when he could have had a little bit better contact. Trey Turner ends up with a base hit, hoping to see his season turn around. And then with Brendan Rodgers at the plate, there goes Turner to second base, and that is one of the rare times you'll see him thrown out trying to steal second base. He leads the National League in stolen bases right now, but can't add to it there. Brendan Rodgers, by the way, we're starting to see him really step up his play. I think this is about the best we've seen him play in this entire series. Colorado scoring runs early in this game. Nice to see for a change. Justice Sheffield missing outside. This count runs full. And Geronimo puts it on the ground. Got a pitch right over the middle. And he is out. We'll take this one later in the ball game. It's now a 10-3 game. Colorado getting some offense, and Geronimo with another fly ball. Doesn't hit it perfectly. On the early side of the good timing there, and that one is catchable in the gap. But the Rockies go on to win in dominant fashion, 10-4 with 15 hits on the day. McMahon, Ty France, and Brandon Nimmo all hit home runs. We're a good couple months into the season now, so we can think about maybe calling up players that are playing well down at AAA. Garrett Hampson has been pretty good since we sent him down, but other than Tuki Toussaint, I don't see us making any more moves there. At some point, I do expect Johnny Shaffer to be catching at AAA, and I think right now the game is kind of telling me to do that, so maybe. I feel like the pitching down at AAA has been pretty good. It certainly was a year ago. But I'd like to get Tuki Toussaint some major league innings now so we can really see how far he's come in the last year and a half or so. We've started off the month of June with a series win over Seattle, and the schedule has been a little more forgiving the last few episodes. We get a trade offer here from the Mariners, a weird one too, because I feel like it'd be a very even trade, like a late 20s utility player who's been kind of disappointing. I'm not doing that swap, Hampson for Haggerty. We end up winning that series against the Mariners and then take 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh. And we got a lot of home games left in this month, so a really good chance to improve our record. I don't see us competing in the division this year with how good the Dodgers are. But we are almost 60 games in, and we are still in the wild card hunt. That's a huge improvement over where we've been in this series. And as we check out various stats, we are getting better. The batting average is improving. The home runs, on base, not really. That just stays at the bottom, basically. And the pitching's been good. I really want to capitalize on how good the pitching is right now. And that's going to require the hitting to play more up to their potential. I think Brandon Nimmo's been excellent. Ty France slumped, but he's turning that around. And then Trey Turner is still struggling, so he'll continue to go lower in the batting order until he starts producing. I'm still being patient with David Geronimo. It's possible he goes down to AAA just to get some productive at-bats there, but I don't know who I'd be playing yet in his place. So, that's where we are. With the MLB draft in the books, we can look ahead to the rest of the year. We approach the All-Star break and the trade deadline as our next milestones, and hopefully we can stay in this wild card hunt. I don't want to be sellers at the deadline, but when that time comes, I'll be realistic about where this team's prospects are for the rest of the season. Please leave your feedback down below in the comments. What did you think of the draft? Specifically the top players that I took. And what do you think about the state of this franchise and where we are in year 3? I appreciate all your support. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Have a great day.